And it's about that time again to walk into the world of the big stories, papers, headlines, everything that you need to know coming out of the dailies in Nigeria. This is Freshly Pressed on the Hump of the Week, Wednesday morning on the Smooth Breakfast. This is Smooth 98.1. You know, we love music and we love life as well. It is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. My name is Ayokunmi. Great to have you join us once again to go on this journey. So many interesting things to talk about, and you get to share the spotlight with us. You get to walk on this journey with us as well. So you can do that on WhatsApp. You can do that on YouTube. The WhatsApp number 0911 0911 YouTube, you can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Those are the ways you can join us. Leave your comments on the YouTube chat box. Leave your comments on WhatsApp as well. We always look forward to hearing from you. You make things a bit more exciting. All right, joining me to take a look at the stories and analyze, give us more context and perspective. Two absolutely fine gentlemen with me online, not in the studio, but they're here in spirit. Olakunle, Yusuf, and Devoe, Okorie. Olakunle, good morning to you. Great to have you in once again.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Devoe. Good morning, everyone that is listening to us this morning. Some good news coming out from the house, from the money house. We hope that that will reflect at the end of the day at the marketplace.
Yes, indeed. Devoe, good morning to you.
Morning, world. Morning, Lagos. Smooth, AY, Lakunle. Cool interest rates.
Exactly, a cool interest rate. And that exactly is where we're going to begin our journey this morning. This was all over the news yesterday. Let's take the story from the Punch for better understanding. The Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, has reduced the monetary policy rates, the MPR, by 50 basis points from 27.5% to 27%. The governor of the bank, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, announced the decision on Tuesday during a press briefing at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting out there in Abuja. And this was an interesting one because there was a lot of speculation about whether or not there will be a cut or whether there will be a hold. And interestingly, there was a cut. I mean, I think for the first time in a little bit, we're having a cut in the rates. Devoe, what does this mean in general? What does this mean for business people? What does this mean for Nigerians as well?
All right, we'll try and make it simple. The MPR moved from 27.5 to 27%. So that's just a marginal dip, okay? And cash reserve ratio up to 45%. Now, the one that will concern people is the MPR, which for the first time in a long time has dipped, okay? So the arrow is pointing down. However, many business people complained about the high interest rates in Nigeria, meaning if you go to the banks will add their amounts to it, and it comes to above 30, between 30 to 36%. And for a business person, that's on the high side compared to getting loans abroad. However, there were reasons why the interest rates were so high because of the high inflation that came with the twin policies of the removal of subsidy and the FX rate harmonization. Now, sometime late last year, the MBS did a rebasing of the GDP. Okay, so in quotes, in terms of view, if you change the base year, it brings down the inflation rates, right? But people still saw high prices in the market, and they started explaining to us that it wasn't that the inflation was down, but the rate of inflation was down. It wasn't accelerating as high as it was between 2022 and 2024.
Okay.
Now, the problem here is with just a 5% dip, many people are expecting that, inflation has come down, prices in the market should be going down. It doesn't work exactly like that. Okay. There are still other fundamentals in the markets that are going to keep prices up. Okay. Um, what they're saying here is that the rate of inflation is not moving as fast as it was. Take, for example, our exchange rates at one time that moved from 1,001 all the way to 1,800 within 1 year. Generally, for the past 8 months, it's been averagely between 1,400 and 1,600. All right.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So it's on this basis, and then also crude oil production, even though I'm still looking for affirmative measures, they say has gone up to about 1.6 million barrels to about 1.8. So there's also been an increase in external reserve, even though that's not a net position. So what it's basically saying is that we are turning the tide, all right? And because we're turning the tide, that has given the CBN, the monetary authorities, the confidence to be able to, instead of a hold, reduce the monetary rates. I would debate that they should still hold it, all right? Because it's going to look somehow when prices in the market don't really shift and what do you call it? People who are looking for dollar cannot find it, okay? So in the long run, what is important, like we've always said, Nigerians should not concern themselves about the price of crude or the interest rate in the market. What we should be concerned about as a nation and what we want to be done, because I have to give thumbs up to the monetary authorities, that's the CBN and co, and the DMO. They've been doing their work. The real work, the real muscle that needs to be applied, the real strategy that needs to be applied is the fiscal authorities, the fiscal strategy. They've done two steps, which is they remove subsidy, they harmonize. Now do the other steps. What other, and I'm not referring to cushions right now. Nigeria needs to make money. Okay, we have a budget of over, at the last count, 55 trillion. If we don't make money as a nation, we're not going to improve our condition. Okay, so
67 trillion.
yes. Now, is it a focus on agriculture? Okay, this is where the borrowing comes to place, because most times we borrow, but we don't get to see the other side of the stick, which is supposed to be of benefit to the country. Are we borrowing to address the lack and the deprivation in education? Are we borrowing to address transportation gaps? Are we borrowing to address the epileptic, decrepit electricity, 5,000 megawatts per day that we produce in this country? What are we borrowing for? Because it's when we shift something within the fiscal options, that's when we'll begin to see the real growth of this nation. All right. So let's not jump. Let's not even say let's clap. It's not worth clapping for. We need to do the real work with the fiscal authorities. Wale Edu, that's your name. You are the coordinating minister of the economy. The battle is on your side of the fort right now.
Right. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Devoe. A lot more work needs to be done. I mean, steps in the right direction, but more definitely can and should be done to keep us moving. All right, Lakunle, let us switch gears and talk about education. I mean, I'm trying to remember a day we haven't talked about anything concerning education, but hey, here we are right now. And we're going to stick to the Punch newspaper, where the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, as well as the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities and Allied Institutions, has extended the strike ultimatum issued to the government by 2 weeks. Now, if you recall, both unions earlier gave the federal government a 7-day ultimatum over unresolved welfare issues, warning of a looming nationwide strike. Now, I know that we're talking about, before we came on, we're talking about, the possibilities of, having a system where these associations, are not as needed as well. But I mean, that's a different lifetime. But bearing in mind where we are right now, and looking at what's going on here, they issued a 7-day ultimatum. Now they've extended that by 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that I want anyone to go on strike, but looking at what they're asking for, looking at the fact that they decided to extend, will anyone take them seriously at the end of the day? Yeah, me too, Lakunle.
here we go again. Anybody and everybody that must have heard me speak on this show will recall, like I always say, I don't believe in strikes. I do not believe strike can solve any problem. Having said that, then you go back and look at the makeup of our university administrative structure. Then you go back and look at the funds that are available to the university administration structure to spend. Then you go back and look at the body language and the attitude of the owners of the university. In this case, the federal government and the state governments. By and large, I think the state governments have somehow cracked this issue of strikes in the state government-owned universities somehow. I don't know. It's been a long time, and the reason is that they found a way to prevent their employees in those universities to be members of ASU, SANU, NASU, and all of them, right? Whether it is right or wrong, that's a different discussion, right? Then you go again and look at the experience of the people who are in position of authority in these universities. Okay, just about 2 or 3 days ago, there was an issue about a university, and I commented, I said, this is a good advert for those of us who don't believe that being a professor is just the only thing or the most important thing to be the chief executive of a university. So you find all of this, you put all of this together combined. Okay, somebody was talking about the dilapidated state of the University of Ibadan. And guess what? Trenchard Hall, the Trenchard Hall, that administrative building on UI, that is where the office of the VC is. Guess what? One of the iconic structures in that university has been non-functional for years. The tower clock, the clock on the tower is not working. The VC's office is right underneath that tower. So when you look at those little details like that, then you can find it easy for these associations, unions to find faults in the way the university is run. And of course, the only place they can go to make all this argument is government. Nobody is well paid in Nigeria. Even the oil and gas people, you hear them say, my colleague that works in the same role in Venezuela earns 10 times what I earn. So the university man will also say, my colleague that works in the same university in Botswana earns 15 times what I earn. Nobody is well paid enough in Nigeria. But you see, the point I'm trying to make is that within, whether you are well paid, no matter how much we pay these guys, the problems they are talking about will keep coming up. Then it comes to that transparency of how the universities are administered that I spoke about. I know you need 100 naira. I have given you 40 naira. For you to come and argue with me that you must get 100 naira, you must show me how well you have spent the 40 naira and how it is so inadequate. You won't just come and tell me by mouth that it is not enough. So those are the issues. So we're talking about the clock that is not working. I just spoke about the clock that's not working. That should be the list of the problems of a university, for example. But it is an iconic item in that university that if anything is not working, it shouldn't be that clock. Go and look at the hostels where the students live. Go and we have made people
Nothing
that
to
have
write
made
home
different
about.
exactly people that have made different suggestions as to how to do these things. For government, the owner of the university is saying, no, I must keep it tuition free. I must keep it tuition free. Go and manage the money I've given you. You can begin to look at all of these things. And to the discussion that we're having before we came online about this thing, I was saying, look, at some point, we will see that some of these unions may become irrelevant in the scheme of things. Because guess what? In the world today, I could be in Nigeria and earn a university degree in Australia. And my degree will compete with any other degree with any brick and mortar university anywhere else in the world. Universities all over the world are moving in that direction. Yeah, are the owners of universities in Nigeria thinking in that direction? It's going to be cheaper. Yes, the idea that people will lose their jobs will come up, but it will be a phase thing that when these things start to happen, some of the things we complain about today that is wrong with our universities will be corrected at some point in the future when we start to think about things like that. You know, who believed that we could actually run a business without going to work Monday to Friday? Until
Right.
COVID happened and we all got locked up at home. In
And
fact, I know
that changed perspective, seriously.
exactly. I know like 3, 4 organizations who doubled their turnover in 2020 compared to 2019, and they were at home. So when we start to think different, we can't be doing the same thing the same way every day and expect a different result. And that's the problem we have with what we are seeing. So we'll go on strike 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, we'll sign paper, they will come back. In 2 years' time, the paper we signed today is still what we'll be referring to. Look at ASU itself, agreement of 2009. This is
Till
2025.
now,
If you
we're
were
still
born in
on that one.
2009, if you were born in 2009, you are graduated from university already to this year. Have you not? Or about to graduate? So what are we talking about? So everybody, all the unions, the owners, the administrator, we need all to think different. I'm not here to assign any blame to anybody because all of these things are all there for us to see. But it's because we are not thinking different on how to handle this matter. And that's where we have this problem. Everybody needs to think different.
Everybody needs to think different, right? Thank you so much for that, Lakunle. I mean, let us know your thoughts on this particular matter. 0911 That is the WhatsApp number. Leave your comments on YouTube as well at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, let us continue with another story here. And we're going to talk about another union. Well, Pengasan is involved in this one. Daily Post is where we're heading to right now. Devoe, this one is for you. Well, the president of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan Festus Osifo, has explained that the country's refineries were shut down due to inefficiency rather than being completely non-functional. He said the facilities had been operating but could not produce at optimal levels.
I like to re-headline this medicine after death coming from Pengasan. Well, they were in a meeting with the new GCO, or I think he's no longer new, that's Ojulari, and the NNPC. And would I say they did his dirty job? Because just like the last time when they went around the nation telling everyone that the refineries were backing up when Mele Kyari was there, they are now also coming as third party to inform the public that, well, the narrative that went out that the refineries did not work is not true. It's just that they didn't operate optimally. That what they put in is not exactly what they got out, and what they got out was not commercially viable. They would have been running losses. That they are engineers and they're trying to explain to people what they mean. What's his name? Yusufu. No, it's not Yusufu. Felix Osifo.
Osifo.
You be my guy. You're my guy. I have to say that on national radio. But you're washing Nigerians, okay? You're washing Nigerians. Did it take you how many months? 6 months to come out with the truth? Were you all, TUC and NLC, not quick in line with some of the other downstream petroleum associations, quick to work with NNPC to deceive them that the refineries were back and running and that they were going to compete favorably with Dangote? No, we're not going to accept that. But we're not going to blame you because you're not the one in charge. The person who we will blame is the NNPC directly. It's just that your credibility has been marred by this change in position, okay? In terms of the fact that the refineries, there's about 3.2 trillion that is yet unaccounted for what you call unoptimal production.
Exactly.
There's so much of Nigeria's wealth that has been wasted. So I know how difficult it is for you because at most times you're working in tandem with some of these authorities. That must be said. However, like I said, your credibility is what you have lost here because the nation expects you, the senior staff of the oil and gas companies, that's Pengasin, to be able to speak truths to power, to be able to put Nigeria in a better position and not behave like Nupeng, who wants to keep the status quo in place and administration after administration will be funding money down a toilet called the refineries all in the name of nobody within the oil and gas sector would have told the truth. I think Nigerians know the truth already. The Dangote private sector development has checkmated all this washing and lies that have come from the oil and gas industry. Because, sometimes in this country, the way we go about things and we don't tell the truth and we always hide where we have created room for corruption. It makes it look like it's impossible. Many people believe, to build refinery in Nigeria, it can never happen. For donkey years, they attempted it. Look at not just one man, one institution, the Dangote refinery, was given support, yes. And when it was finally built, not only was he was producing some of the best petroleum products in the world. Nigeria, I think this is a testimony for many of you who have lost hope in this country that there's no hope. No, that's not true. It's what we do to ourselves that causes Nigeria to be hopeless. Not that Nigeria as a nation itself cannot get it right as regards infrastructure development, as regards social service delivery. It's we as a people. So we need to bear this in mind anytime we go for elections. It's we as a people that have caused this nation to drop to the extent that it has. And I'm hoping that Nigerians begin to, one way or the other, get angry, get hungry for change, get hungry for a difference, and not this normal washing that the sun did not rise and that the moon is yellow. I saw it. It was on my phone. I caught it on phone. The moon is yellow.
There's a comment that Devoe made about the fact that things are actually possible. And, for so many years, we've been used to a lot of mediocrity that whenever a government official or someone in power does something that is supposed to be basic, we bring out the drums, roll out all the canopies and everything to celebrate because we're not used to what is supposed to be a regular thing. But the point at the end of the day is these things are doable. They are possible. It's just that those who are supposed to do them don't really care.
Quickly.
All right. Lakunle.
Again, this is a typical what I just said earlier. We need to think different. It's not that we don't even know these things. It's not even about thinking anymore. We need to act different. That's just what it is. All labor unions in Nigeria are still operating on the template of the 17th and the 18th century. We're in the 21st century, for crying out loud. Where is Pengasan's lobby group in the National Assembly, for example? Where is their pressure point in NNPC itself? They sit down in offices fitting fat on people's what's it called? Dues. And then when something happens, they react and then they want to drag the rest of us into the pits with them. That is not how to run a responsible union. You must be part of the policy from day one. Which day did you hear that Pengasan sponsored a bill about oil and gas since 1999? Which day did you hear any union at all sponsor any bill in the National Assembly? Or go there to go and make presentation about the bill that is being discussed? You never hear it. So it's just like when they are planning to shave your head, you were not there. So when you come and they seize you and they shave your head, how can you have prevented them seizing you to shave your head? That's what has been happening to us. And the idea that something in the report I read that they send in $10 million of fuel, then when it comes out, it's valued at 9.5 billion. How in the world of economics does that happen?
And how do you even justify that?
How do you even justify that? So you knew that, you kept quiet. Now that you have issue with them, you are now bringing it out. Did you just know yesterday that that's what happens?
Let me take a comment here on YouTube. So on WhatsApp, beg your pardon. This is Emeka Inikeja who says, on Pengasan and non-functional refineries, please, what's the difference between non-performance and non-functional as being sold to the public? No consequences for not performing?
English,
question.
Semantics.
Ajay Oloniluwa Imagodo Jerry Sherry says, good morning to you, Ajay. It's too late in the day for Pengasan to come out now with its story of NNPCL's refinery not completely shut down when the CEO himself said otherwise. This afterthought statement can never justify their continued collection of salaries for doing nothing at the refineries. I hear you, Ajay. Thank you for your message. All right, Lakunle, let us talk about an update here. We're going back to the Punch newspaper, and this has to do with Senator Natasha, yes, the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpotiuduaghan, on Tuesday resumed legislative duties at the National Assembly after months of suspension, describing Senate President Godswill Akpabio as a dictator. Well, it seems like, her office has been opened. She's back in the office, and it seems like, well, she's back to work and all that. But Lakunle, is this drama at the end?
Um, okay, so a few things. One is that I think that our public office holders, politicians, many of them, the word distinguished, honorable, right honorable, should not be prefixed in their names, right? I also think that, like Yoruba people say that you read book does not mean that you read sense. While Yoruba people say "okawe oka ogbon ori," that's how they say it. I think this is applicable to a lot of our public office holders as well, or maybe
Okay.
because we have generally accepted that when you want to be in politics, you must leave your shame at home so you can act anyhow in public, right? I think that much of what we have had over the last 7, 8 months, culminating in the office being unsealed yesterday, were things that responsible adults could have properly managed, could have followed the normal processes, the rule of law, da 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 da. The office being unsealed was, for me, was just a matter that, okay, the 6 month suspension by the Code and Rules and Ethics Committee of the Senate has expired. So she has come back. So when you look at that point, so are you saying that the allegation will go away because now that the suspension has expired? The matter is still in court, It has not been heard in the court. We have not had a conclusive matter of it. It's still in court, right? Are you saying by unsealing? So why have you then deprived the people of Kogi Central representation for 6 months when you know that whether she was found, whether the case was concluded or not, she was going to come back? Why does our law allow suspension of members of our law-making body, whether they work or not? It should never happen. You have deprived a set of Nigerians proper representation in those periods. And then I think that the statements that came from Senator Natasha yesterday were totally unwarranted. They were not necessary at all. I think that, yes, it is politics. We are playing to the sentiments of people and all that. You don't come on national TV and refer to somebody as rabid or mad or something. You don't. So those are my personal opinion about it. And I think that now that she should get back to work and try to catch up in representing our people very well. It appears she's very popular with her people. There was an attempt to recall her during this thing. It failed. So we then hope that the court will expedite action and will hear this case. It's always good. I'm a very firm believer in testing our laws, whether it favors me or not. Let's test it. It helps a lot to grow stronger. And so I think that people, adults generally, should also see this not just as a laughing or comedy, but as a learning point that we can apply even in our private lives, the way these adults have handled this matter.
Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts there, Lakunle. Devoe, time has actually run by, but I just want us to very quickly touch on this particular story here in the Daily Post, where it says the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court of Nigeria, Justice John Shoho, is to reassign to another judge the money laundering suit instituted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, against the immediate past group managing director of the NNPCL, that's Mele Kyari. Just give us an idea of what's going on in this particular matter here.
Well, the judge, Justice Emeka Nwite, was on vacation. So by the time he got back, he noticed that no lawyer was available to take up the case on behalf of the accused, Mele Kyari, because they were attending swearing to bar for assailants or something like that. So he sent the case back to the Chief Justice for reassignment. All this is all English. This case is one of the cases that should be flushed into the toilet of oblivion. Why? When it comes to NNPC and corruption, is it the 600 million that Mele Kyari had in a bank that we are worried about? We want to hear about the 3.2 trillion that he was still supervising that went down with the refineries. We want to hear the direct sale swapping bonanza that took place for many years between the NNPC, the marketers, and those selling crude on behalf of Nigeria. Come on. We're asking you to give us meat. You're here throwing crumbs at us. Please, 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 please. Judicial, EFCC, ICPC, get serious. That's all I can say.
Get serious. That's something that every Nigerian needs to use as a mantra, really. All right, let me run through the messages here. This is Joseph Menye in Silver State in Ejigbo. Good morning to you, Joseph. He says, why can't the economy minister tell the executive governors, Senate, Minister of the Coordinated Economy, you mean, talking about I guess. Tell the Senate and other public office holders to cut down on their flamboyant lifestyle so that wealth can go around, rather than everyone giving Nigerian statistics, which the president once said, it's all numbers without progress. And Pengasan should stop telling Nigerians all this nonsense because they are part of the monumental fraud in the oil sector. May God help Nigeria. Michael says, the one thing I expected you to mention that can be the ultimate game changer is corruption. No matter how differently we think, it will always be back to the drawing board. Okay. And Gilbert Musa in Festac says, the ASU and academic unions and other related matters can be likened to the chaos in the oil industry in Nigeria. Despite brilliant minds in both sectors, till date, we keep going around the same challenge of inefficiency. The Ayokunmi Steel Company comes to mind. Since the 1980s, we keep hearing different stories about the project, and I don't think we'll stop hearing stories anytime soon with the way things have been going recently. All right, we need to wrap it up. Thank you so much for all the messages. Devoe, Lakunle, thank you so very much for keeping it 100 this morning on the show. Lakunle.
Thank you, Ayo, for having me. And guys, we are having a national library very soon. We have 20.45 billion to build it, to complete the building. And please let us pray that the building gets completed within the year, and so that we can go read. Thank you, Mrs. President, for helping us on that.
All right, Devoe.
Nigerians, shine your eye. 2027 is coming.
Cryptic and straight to the point. Thank you all. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning. Lagos, thank you all once again. Let's keep it close to Smooth 98.1 and of course, Smooth Breakfast. It's going to be all about what's going on in the world of sports, in the locker room.